Welcome to Houston, We Have a Doctor, the podcast that takes you behind the scenes with the physicians, surgeons, and healthcare leaders shaping our city. I'm your host, Dr. Sterling Carter, physical therapist, Army veteran, and the founder of the award-winning Sterling Physical Therapy and Wellness. Each week, we'll sit down with Houston's top docs to hear their stories behind the scrubs, how they're changing lives, innovating care, and keeping Houston strong. Let's get started. Hi, everyone. It is Dr. Sterling Carter, owner of Sterling Physical Therapy and Wellness, and welcome to Houston, We Have a Doctor. And it is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to one of my favorite DPTs. She is our clinic director over in Bel Air, Dr. Vanesa Sierra. Dr. Sierra, how are you today?
I'm so good. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So this is just an opportunity for our patients and for the community to get to know you a little bit better. So I've got a few questions for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. So let's start with if you can, tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you end up coming into physical therapy, and what was your journey to get here?
So my journey began when I was a high school athlete. Soccer was my life from middle school through high school and in college. And so because I was so committed to high school soccer, club soccer, I was playing soccer every day, every weekend. I, of course, would end up with injuries, sprain an ankle, sprain something in my knee. Thank God, as a goalkeeper, I never had any serious injuries because the way I used to slide tackle and get out there is wild when I think about it. But it was enough where I would go to the orthopedic, and in that office, they actually had physical therapy right across the way. So it made it very convenient to go see my doctor. I would do PT. And I remember vividly, I was like 15 or 16 years old. I was doing ball tosses on a foam mat, working on some ankle stability. And the therapist at the time, I just made the experience so joyful for me. Like I was able to talk to him about all these things, and I never felt like I was at the doctor. And I was like, this is fun. Like, how do I figure out how to do this? And so when I entered college, I had no plan B. I remember going to the counselor and saying, sign me up for the degree that I need for PT school. And I was a bit naive. I did not understand that at the time it was a clinical doctorate. I just because my therapist never referred to himself as a doctor. Like he would just say, this is, John or whatever. And so I didn't think anything of it. And thinking back on my journey of like applying and doing hours, like I was very naive in the process, but somehow like I did get all the prerequisites. I got my reference letters. And I just continued to confirm like, yeah, I can definitely see myself doing this every day. I really enjoy talking to people, all walks of life. And once I graduated U of H with my kinesiology degree, I understood that, PT school is a lot harder to get into than what I had expected. So I did have to retake some courses. I was like, I got my A's. So it took a year for me after graduation to finally get into PT school. And that was where I learned that it was a doctorate. My first summer of gross anatomy was like drinking out of a water hose. But it was very enlightening to see, how the profession or how school was setting you up to be a scholar in the profession. So I really enjoyed that.
That's so awesome, Vanessa. So one, everyone, I told Dr. Sierra earlier, she's a natural at this. So, and she truly is, because you've already answered like four or five of my first questions. So that is super awesome. But a couple of things I just wanted to mention. Number one, goalkeeper. So awesome. Arguably the most important position on the soccer field, and you rocked that for a long period of time. So kudos to you.
Yes.
And so you mentioned undergrad at University of Houston. Tell me about PT. Where do you go for PT school, and tell me about that?
So I lost the last part of the question.
Oh, where did you go to school for your DPT, and how was the experience at that particular school? What was it like?
Got it. So I, of course, being from Houston, I was trying to go to the big two schools like Texas Women's, UTMB, but I applied to about 5 or 6 different schools. And at the time, Texas Tech was on the list, but it was just kind of like there. I wasn't really, trying to my hardest to get there because I really wanted Texas women's. But again, in my process of applying and doing everything, it was very humbling to learn, like if you were waitlisted and whatnot. And I remember I was at the airport heading out for a girls' trip to New York, and I got my acceptance letter to Texas Tech for the DPT, and I was beaming, just smile ear to ear that whole flight. That trip was very celebratory. But then when I came back, I was like, oh, I'm going to be in Lubbock. Like, that's exciting because I'm born and raised in Houston. So, but it ended up being the one school I got into. So I, of course, was going to make the best of it. And honestly, I can look back and say I'm extremely grateful for my experience there. The professors have all been there for years and years, some decades. They're all very passionate in the fields. They all still practice. They all have multiple credentials beyond, being DPT. I really enjoyed I feel like Texas Tech is one of the schools you did have to interview. So I feel like they really valued the person in front of them rather than just the paper. And that was one of the things that I took away, as badly as I wanted to go to Texas Women's, they don't do interviews. And now looking back on it, I have met some clinicians and I'm like, yeah, they should do interviews to make
Really?
yeah, I'm
That's
like,
funny.
he's a very personable profession. You can't
It
be
is.
afraid to talk to people. I mean,
So
you
true.
can know everything in the book, but if you don't make somebody trust you, want to work with you, you're not going to get the results that you're trying to achieve. So, all of my professors were extremely open. We were able to come to them for any questions. And those were some of the best years of my life, being in Lubbock. My husband and I say all the time, I'm like, I wish I could bring Lubbock 7 hours closer to Houston and live in like a smallish town um, city like that, but still be close to all the friends and family because I felt like I was in my little bubble. Like it was just such a good experience. And I am always encouraging students and anyone that wants to go to PT, apply to tech because they're only getting better. So I was really grateful for my experience.
That's awesome. I love Texas Tech as well, and I've got a couple of close friends. They're actually professors there, and
Mm.
yeah, I don't know if you
Ooh.
retired Lieutenant Colonel Brian Boyer. I don't know if he was there
No.
when you were there, um,
No.
but he great physical therapist, and he trained me when I was in the military and all that kind of good stuff. But he's one actually did a like a course, really, I guess, a guest appearance talking about PT practices and how to open up your own practice for one of the graduating classes a few years ago. So
That's awesome.
pretty cool. Pretty cool. So for our patients, just so you know, the great thing about Texas is that we have a lot of great PT schools.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're seeing therapists here in the state of Texas, you're seeing some of the best PTs in the country, and Dr. Sierra is one of them. So speaking of that, just share with us, if you could, for a moment, a patient story, a patient that touched your heart and you made a difference in a special way. Just tell
Yeah.
us.
I'm thinking of one most recently, top of mind. She came to me in her eval. She's in her late 40s, and she said, I want to run 50 miles for my 50th birthday. And I was like, wow, like, that's a great goal. I would never want to do that, but kudos to you. And she has been coming consistently 2 to 3 times a week for the past month or so, and the
Mhm.
improvements that we've made in her stride and the way that she feels. She is so excited to try to meet that goal. And I just feel like she wouldn't have gotten there without the intervention and the education that I've given her. And I'm just so grateful that she trusted me to help her achieve that goal. And it makes me really proud that she is going to meet that goal of running 50 miles on her 50th birthday. So,
That is an amazing story. So you have to make sure that that patient gives us a testimonial when they hit the 50-mile mark, and
oh,
take
totally.
some pictures. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing. And going a little bit further into just I guess, tell me about what's the most rewarding part of your job being a physical therapist? What do you love most about it?
I love that every day is different.
Mhm.
I'm very much a people person, and so I get energy from being around other people. And so I really appreciate the people that come in, our patients that are consistent. Some of them we call lifers, we've created friendships outside of the
Uh-huh.
clinic. And I just really appreciate people that trust that I'm able to get them better and help them achieve their goals. I don't think there's any other profession other than like rehabilitation and therapy that gives you this much access to patients for the amount of time that we do. And so I'm very grateful to have that trust from a lot of people that want the help.
Excellent, excellent. I love that. I love that. So, a couple more questions before we go. Number one, can you share something about yourself that maybe our patients don't know or they would be surprised to hear?
Yes, I am actually a Louisiana state champ in arm wrestling
What?
for the left hand.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
How cool is
my my husband was really into, like, have you ever heard of the sport of arm wrestling?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so my husband was really into it around COVID because we were all stuck at home, and somehow he came across a Facebook group of arm wrestlers. He joined, and then we were like kind of meeting up regularly. And I would, of course, kind of see what they were doing, but I never really got into it. And I went with him to his first official competition in
Mhm.
Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
And there was plenty of guys that signed up in my division, or in the division of women. No one had signed up. And so
Okay.
the announcer was like, whoever signs up, you win automatically. And I thought that would be hilarious for me to sign up and just win. But
Great.
after I signed up, four other women decided that while they were there that they were going to sign up. And I
Okay.
was panicking. I was like, oh my God, no, like I actually have to compete. And I'll have to show you the videos. It's
Yes.
intense. Thankfully, I had practice with my husband and some of the other women just randomly before I went. And I ended up going, I mean, I had to go through each woman. It was like best, you have to lose twice in order to be out.
Okay.
And although I'm right hand dominant, somehow it's all about your mechanics and like how quickly you
Right.
take off. And somehow I did a lot better on my left, and I ended up beating out those four women. One of them was significantly bigger than me, and I was terrified that she was going to rip my arm off, but
Uh-huh.
she didn't. I beat her, and that was just the adrenaline. Like, you can't even imagine the adrenaline of being in front of a room of all these men that are like, yeah,
Yeah.
and like, it's us women are going
Wow.
at it. And I got a whole medal, a trophy, and then all of my husband's friends after that wanted me to be at every single practice. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not into it like that. Because I know two people already who have broken their humerus from poor mechanics. Like, I've
Yes.
literally heard it pop and
Right.
break. It
Right.
is crazy. So after the second person that I witnessed that, I said, I'm not doing this anymore. Can't
Right.
afford to be injured like that. So that was the end of my journey.
Well, it's still
But
a great story. That's
that's
so
my fun
awesome.
fact.
So for everyone out there, if you're wanting to get into arm wrestling or if you need to rehab after an injury, you now have a specialist here. Dr. Sierra can
Yep.
take care of you. I love it. That's so cool. Okay.
Hmm.
And then last question before we get out of here. I promise last one. But what
Hmm.
do you do to unwind when when you're not working so hard?
Well, these days, of course, I have a very sweet 9.5 month old baby.
Yeah.
And being a mother has been the hardest and the greatest journey I have ever been on. I'm so thankful I have this little baby in my life. Before babies, I was out, happy hours, going out with friends, going to, weekend trips. And things are very different now because I want that face to face and one on one time with my child. So on the weekends, my husband and I were like, he's in that phase where he's super interested in like everything around him. So we're trying to go to all these little parks and family friendly places. My Google searches now are like kid-friendly places, whereas before I didn't know anything.
Great.
So I'm having so much fun just like seeing how much he's growing every day. We're starting to plan for his first birthday, which I could, I can't even believe we're almost there. But I'm really enjoying my journey in motherhood right now.
I love it. That's a great way to unwind and a great pastime and so
Mm,
rewarding. So
it is.
thank you so much, Vanessa, Dr. Sierra, for taking the time out to sit with me, and for all of our patients and potential patients out there. You can find Dr. Sierra at our Bel Air clinic. We're at 5101 Bel Air Boulevard, Suite 265, right at the corner of Rice and Bel Air. And yeah, I'm sure Dr. Sierra would love to see you. And until next time, we'll talk to you
Right.
soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
Bye.
Bye bye.